this is this is freedom's last battleground.
Yeah, yeah.
And we're in the middle of it right now. We're in the middle of it in a weird transitionary time where things are being exposed at a level that have never been exposed before. And people have an understanding of how corrupt this system is at a way they've never been able to fully comprehend before. You have an uncle that tells you, what they do is the CIA sends people. Uncle's crazy. That guy's out of his fucking mind. Then Mike Benz explains it to you and shows you charts and graphs and brings up articles and has classified documents that have been released, and he's showing you those. You're like,
yeah. Well, I mean, his stuff, and I mean, look, like the Jeffrey Epstein stuff. I mean, it's just like again,
all of it in every category that you could imagine. Just what's happening with the American Heart Association, trying to get people to be able to buy sugary drinks and crap food with food stamps, and then you realize, oh wait, look, these companies like Coca-Cola and Pepsi have actually donated to the American Heart Association.
Yeah, and evidently some Twitter influencers too.
Oh yeah, a bunch of them.
Did you see that?
Yeah,
who have all taken in that big Pepsi money, and then they're going, it is an assault on liberty to tell people they cannot buy Pepsi.
So many people that have prominent X accounts and prominent, I'm sure, other social media platforms as well, they all said the same thing. And they're probably being paid because a bunch of people were being paid to support Kamala Harris. And there was a bunch of people that exposed that. They showed the emails that they got. We were invited to do this, and you would get paid like a considerable amount of money to make some sort of a statement saying that you would vote for that person. And I guess they said, well, if you have 500,000 followers here and 1 million followers there, and you add all those up and you give this guy 25 grand, this guy 50 grand, and you give Beyonce 11 million.
Yeah, by the way, I hear constantly people when they attack me on Twitter that I'm getting Russian money or Qatari money. I've never got a goddamn check from any of them. Like, guys, give me the money. I'm already saying the thing, I think. So, like, hey, why not at this point? I'm just kidding. I don't want your money.
Well, I get it all the time. People think that someone's guiding this show, and then I have someone who tells me what to talk about. Like, I would have never had Kurt Metzger on yesterday if that's the case.
That's when you know no one's guiding anything. When Kurt Metzger, who I love dearly.
About everybody. He was screaming about Elon. He was screaming about everybody.
I love Kurt Metzger dearly. I've known him for over 20 years. He's one of the most brilliant comedic minds in the world. But let's be real. Nobody, if anyone was guiding anyone with a show, they would never allow Kurt Metzger to be on that show. Anytime he appears on a show, that is proof that there is no big money behind this show.
Well, the scary thing for people is that there's not a guide, and that it really is the Wild West out here, and that's real. This show is a great example of that. Because this is the #1 show in the world, and this show is literally me and my phone.
It's very interesting for me from my perspective, and I'm sure much more for you. But like from my perspective, it's just that, like somebody who's like a regular and a good friend of yours and has been on the show many times. I mean, I get, constantly people will always come up to me and ask, "Oh, what's Joe Rogan really like?" Which is always an interesting question to me because it's like, and I always say my answer is always, I go, but you already know. Like, you already know what Joe Rogan's like. If you watch the show, you already know what Rogan... It's more of that. Like, I don't know. It's that, or it's, like, I'm not saying, like, there's not, like, any element of, like, something you might tell a close friend that you wouldn't say publicly. But, like, generally speaking, and this is true, by the way, almost with all of my favorite comedians. People be like, what was Patrice O'Neill like? You'd be like, like Patrice O'Neill? Yeah. Like exactly the guy you saw. He was that. A lot more of that. Shane Gillis is exactly like that. It's just always the case. But it was really interesting. At least, I don't know, it was just so entertaining for me after this last election, when it was almost like they finally had to admit the power that you have, because like for all those years, and we would always make fun of it over the years, but like Brian Stelter would be on CNN and he'd be like, the fringe Joe Rogan is over here. He's very controversial. And you'd be like, controversial? It's like, he's got 15 million people listening to his show and you're struggling to break 200,000. How do you get to say he's fringe, But it's almost like they had to admit after this last election, they're like, oh, and then the way they start going, well, we need our own Joe Rogan or we need our own this. And it's just, I don't know, it's very interesting where it's like, man, talk about like, you guys just don't get it.
Well, my favorite one was there was a guy on CNN saying that there's a well-funded network of right-wing influencers that are organized. And they were trying to make this argument.
And who are the people like Theo and you?
Jen Psaki was trying to make this argument with Jon Stewart.
Oh, yeah. And Stewart called her out. And he was like, yeah, no, that's not right.
No, she was like, well, it's a right-wing movement. She's like, it's more of a comedian libertarian movement.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's
which
what
is,
it
I think, is more like, I think generally speaking, like, as you've always said, you're kind of a mix of like some kind of more sympathetic to left-wing ideas, some more sympathetic to right-wing ideas, some sympathetic to libertarian ideas. But it's just so, especially like if you just know the people involved, like to describe you and Theo Vaughn as a right-wing network.
Organized.
It's the most disorganized thing in the history of the world.
Organized and well-funded. I'm not organized, and I guess I'm well-funded, but it's not for that.
No, but it's from having the audience.
Yeah, but it's like no one tells me anything. Like, I can have on UFO people. I can have on comedians. No, there's no feedback. I have no feedback. There's no exchange between me and Spotify in terms of who you got this week. What's the month look like? Tell us the big names. They started at the beginning of the deal. They said, okay, who's going to be the people the first week? And my manager's like, hey, it's the same show. You bought the #1 show in the country. He's not doing anything different. And they're like, well, we would like to get some big names out of the gate. Like,
yeah. Like, that's not what we do here.
No, I'm not going to change. It's the same show.